Welcome back to our channel. If you loved part 1 of Vivian and Ji-ho's story, you're going to love how it ends. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more passionate romance stories, and drop a comment below telling us what you think will happen. Now, let's dive in. Chairman Park opened a leather folder with deliberate slowness, his cold eyes fixed on Vivian. My concerns are quite simple, Ji-ho. Your marriage appears to be a convenient arrangement designed to appease the Takahashi Corporation's desire for stability. I have documentation here that suggests your wife was employed as domestic staff in this very house less than a week ago. Murmurs rippled around the table. Vivian felt her face flush, but Ji-ho's hand found hers under the table, squeezing once. A warning or reassurance she couldn't tell. My employment history isn't a secret, Vivian said, keeping her voice steady. I worked hard to support my family. I'm not ashamed of that. No one's suggesting you should be ashamed, Chairman Park replied smoothly, but the timing is suspicious. The Takahashi Corporation expects certain standards. Then they'll see them, Ji-ho said, his voice dangerously quiet. We'll host a dinner in 2 weeks. You'll all witness exactly how committed we are. Until then, this discussion is over. He stood, pulling Vivian up with him, and guided her out of the boardroom before anyone could protest. They didn't speak until they were in his private office, the door locked behind them. That was a disaster, Vivian said, sinking into one of the leather chairs. No. That was Chairman Park showing his hand. Now we know what we're dealing with. Ji-ho loosened his tie, his jaw tight with tension. 2 weeks. We need to be completely convincing by then. How? We barely know each other. Ji-ho moved to stand before her, his dark eyes intense. Then we learn. Starting now. No more separate lives under the same roof. For the next 2 weeks, we live as a real married couple. What does that mean? It means we share meals. Share space. Share. He paused, something flickering in his expression. A bedroom. The staff talks, Vivian. If we're sleeping in separate rooms, Chairman Park will hear about it within days. Vivian's heart hammered. You want me to move into your bedroom? I want us to be convincing. Can you do that? She thought of her mother, healthy and alive because of this man's money. Yes, I can do that. Are you loving this story so far? Hit that like button if you're rooting for Vivian and Ji-ho, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss our romantic stories. That night, Vivian stood in Ji-ho's bedroom doorway with a small suitcase, feeling like she was about to jump off a cliff. The room was masculine and elegant, dark wood furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul, a massive bed that suddenly seemed impossibly intimate. Ji-ho was already there, sitting on the edge of that bed in black silk pajama pants and a white t-shirt, looking unfairly attractive. When he saw her hesitating, something softened in his expression. I'll sleep on the couch if you're uncomfortable. No. Vivian stepped inside, closing the door behind her. If we're doing this, we do it properly. Besides, that couch looks terrible for your back. The corner of his mouth lifted. Concerned about my comfort, Mrs. Jang? Don't let it go to your head. She unpacked her things while Ji-ho worked on his laptop, the silence between them oddly comfortable. When she emerged from the bathroom in her pajamas, cotton shorts and a tank top, she caught him staring before he quickly looked away. Which side do you prefer? He asked, his voice slightly rough. I don't have a preference. Left then. I usually take the right. They climbed into bed with careful distance between them, the space feeling charged with unspoken tension. Vivian lay rigidly on her side, hyper-aware of Ji-ho's presence, the heat radiating from his body, the sound of his breathing. Vivian, he said quietly in the darkness. You can relax. I'm not going to touch you. I know. But her body refused to uncoil. Tell me something real. Something you've never told anyone. The request surprised her. Why? Because if we're going to convince everyone we're in love, we should actually know each other, not just surface details, but real things. Vivian was quiet for a moment. I'm terrified I'll forget my father's voice. He died 5 years ago, and sometimes I can't remember exactly how he sounded. It keeps me up at night. Ji-ho shifted beside her. What do you remember about him? His laugh. He had this huge, booming laugh that filled whatever room he was in. And he used to call me his little warrior, because I never backed down from a fight, even as a child. Little warrior, Ji-ho repeated softly. It suits you. Your turn. Tell me something real. He was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, I haven't cried since my father's funeral. Not once. Everyone expects me to be strong, controlled, perfect. Sometimes I wish I could just break. But I don't know how anymore. Vivian's throat tightened. Before she could overthink it, she reached across the space between them and found his hand. His fingers immediately laced with hers, gripping tight like she was an anchor in rough waters. You don't have to be perfect with me, she whispered. Don't I? You're here because I'm paying you to be. That requires a certain performance, doesn't it? Maybe it started that way. But right now, in this moment, I'm holding your hand because I want to. Not because any contract says I have to. Ji-ho's thumb traced circles. On her palm, the touch sending shivers up her arm. This is dangerous, Vivian. Getting close. It'll only make the ending harder. Then maybe we shouldn't think about the ending yet. He pulled her closer, eliminating the careful distance between them until her head rested on his chest, his arm wrapped around her waist. His heart thundered beneath her ear, proof that he wasn't as controlled as he pretended. Just for tonight, he murmured into her hair. Just for tonight. Let's not pretend. Vivian fell asleep wrapped in his arms, safer than she'd felt in years. The next morning, Vivian woke to find Ji-ho already awake, propped on one elbow, watching her with an expression she couldn't read. Sunlight streamed through the windows, painting everything gold. How long have you been staring at me? She asked, her voice rough with sleep. Long enough to notice you snore. I do not. You do. It's actually kind of cute. His lips curved into a rare, genuine smile, like a small, angry kitten. Vivian grabbed a pillow and swung at him. He caught it easily, laughing. A real laugh that transformed his entire face. Something shifted in the air between them, the playfulness giving way to something heavier, more intense. Ji-ho's smile faded as his eyes dropped to her mouth. Ji-ho, don't, he whispered. Don't overthink it. He leaned in and kissed her. It wasn't like their wedding kiss. This one was real. Gentle at first, almost hesitant, then warmer as he lifted a hand to her face. The world seemed to fall away until there was only the two of them, caught between what they wanted and what they shouldn't. Vivian broke away first, her breathing hard. We shouldn't. Probably not. This changes everything. I know. Ji-ho stared at her for a long moment, a storm of emotions in his eyes. Then he gave in. He kissed her again, harder this time. No more hesitation, no more walls between them. Vivian gasped, her hands clutching his shirt as the air around them grew thick with everything they'd been holding back. Tell me to stop, he whispered against her skin, his voice rough. Tell me this is wrong. Vivian met his gaze, breathless. It is, she said softly. But I don't want you to. Ji-ho's laugh came out low and shaky. You're going to ruin me. Good. They stayed close for hours, losing track of time as they discovered each other in ways that had nothing to do with their contract. Every touch spoke volumes. Every whispered word carried weight. By the time they finally emerged from the bedroom, both were glowing with the secret knowledge that everything had changed between them. The next few days passed in a beautiful blur. They had breakfast together every morning, Ji-ho always stealing little kisses between bites of toast. In the evenings, they worked side by side in his office. Sometimes their eyes would meet, and one small look said everything. At night, they grew even closer. Ji-ho was gentle and careful, always making sure Vivian felt cherished and safe. The man who once controlled everything now let his guard down completely, showing her a softer side no one else had ever seen. "I've never felt like this," he admitted one night, his fingers tracing patterns on her bare shoulder as they lay together in the darkness. "Like I might actually be happy." "Might be?" Vivian teased, turning to look at him. "Am," he corrected, pulling her close for a slow, tender kiss. "Am happy. You make me happy." Vivian Young. But happiness was fragile, especially when built on contracts and borrowed time. One week before the dinner with the Takahashi executives, Vivian's phone rang at 2 in the morning. Her sister's name flashed on the screen. She answered immediately, slipping out of bed carefully so as not to wake Ji-ho. "What's wrong?" "It's Mama. She's having complications." "Nothing life-threatening," her sister added quickly. "But the doctors want to do another procedure. They say it's not covered by the initial payment. They need another 50 million won." Vivian's stomach dropped. 50 million? "I'm so sorry, Viv. I know you've already done so much, but if we don't do this procedure, all the progress from the surgery could be lost." After hanging up, Vivian sat in the darkness, head in hands. She'd used most of her stipend sending money home, helping her extended family. She didn't have 50 million won, and asking Ji-ho for more felt like admitting she was exactly what everyone accused her of being, a gold digger who'd married him for money. "What's wrong?" Ji-ho's sleepy voice came from behind her. He sat up, instantly alert when he saw her face. "Vivian?" "Nothing. Go back to sleep. Don't lie to me." He turned on the bedside lamp, his expression concerned. "Talk to me." So she told him about the phone call, the complications, the money. With each word she felt smaller, more ashamed. "I'm not asking you for anything," she finished quickly. "I'll figure something out. I just needed to. I'll transfer the money tomorrow morning." "No, Ji-ho, I can't ask you for more. You've already done so much." "You're not asking. I'm offering." He pulled her back into bed, wrapping his arms around her protectively. "Your mother's health isn't negotiable, Vivian. I'll take care of it." "Why?" She turned to face him, searching his eyes. "Why do you keep helping me?" Ji-ho was quiet for a long moment. Then, because somewhere in the past 2 weeks, this stopped being about the contract. You stopped being an employee and became... He struggled for words. "Everything. You became everything." Vivian's breath caught. "Ji-ho, I'm falling for you, Vivian. Maybe I already have. I know that wasn't part of the deal. I know in 4 months this ends and you get your freedom and your money. But right now, in this moment, I need you to know that what I feel for you is real." Tears spilled down Vivian's cheeks. "I'm falling for you too, and it terrifies me because I don't know how this ends. How do we walk away from each other when the 6 months are up?" "Maybe we don't." Ji-ho wiped her tears with his thumbs, his touch infinitely gentle. "Maybe we find a way to make this real. Actually real, not just legally real. Your board would never accept it. Chairman Park would..." "I don't care what Chairman Park thinks. I don't care about the board's opinion. I don't care about everyone who thinks they have a say in my life." His voice was fierce, determined. "I've spent my entire life living for other people's expectations. For once, I want to choose what I want. And I choose you." Vivian kissed him desperately, pouring every confused emotion into it, fear and hope and love and terror all tangled together. That night, they held each other with new understanding. Every touch was a promise, every kiss a declaration of feelings they could no longer deny. When they came together, it was with a depth of emotion that took them both by surprise. "Stay," Ji-ho breathed against her lips, his voice raw with vulnerability. "After the 6 months, stay with me." "Yes," Vivian whispered, tears streaming down her face as she held him close. "Yes, I'll stay." Later, as they lay wrapped in each other's arms, Ji-ho pressed his face into her neck and whispered the words he'd been too afraid to say. "I love you. I love you, Vivian." I love you too, she replied, her voice breaking with the weight of the admission. The words hung in the air between them, terrifying and exhilarating and absolutely true. The next morning, Ji-ho was up early, making phone calls. By noon, another 50 million won had been transferred for her mother's procedure. By evening, he'd had his lawyers draft an amendment to their contract. "What's this?" Vivian asked, looking at the document he'd placed in front of her. "A revision. The original contract said we'd divorce after 6 months. This amendment makes it optional. If we both want to continue the marriage, really continue it, not as an arrangement but as a real relationship, we can. And if one of us wants out, then we proceed with the original plan. Divorce, final payment, clean break." His expression was vulnerable in a way she'd never seen. "I'm not trying to trap you, Vivian. I'm giving you a choice. Us, if you want it. Or freedom, if you don't." Vivian signed the amendment without hesitation. The night of the dinner with the Takahashi executives arrived too quickly. Vivian stood in front of the mirror, smoothing down the elegant burgundy dress the stylists had chosen. Ji-ho appeared behind her, devastating in a black suit, and met her eyes in the reflection. "You're beautiful," he said, his hand settling on her waist. "I'm nervous." "Don't be. We're not acting anymore, remember? We're just being us." He turned her to face him, his expression serious. "I need you to understand something. Whatever happens tonight, whatever Chairman Park tries to expose, or the Takahashi executives question, I'm not letting you go. You're my wife, not because of some contract, but because I choose you. Every day, I choose you." "I choose you too." He kissed her softly, careful not to smudge her lipstick. "Then let's go show them what real looks like." The dinner was held in the mansion's formal dining room, a space Vivian had only seen while cleaning it weeks ago. Now she sat at the head of the table beside Ji-ho, playing hostess to 12 people who'd come to judge whether their marriage was legitimate. Mr. Takahashi was elderly, traditional, his sharp eyes missing nothing. His son sat beside him, translating occasionally, watching Vivian with open curiosity. Chairman Park was there too, along with several board members, all waiting for her to fail. "Mrs. Jang," Mr. Takahashi said through his son's translation, "I understand you come from Nigeria. Tell me about your family." It was a test. Would she be ashamed of her background or own it proudly? Vivian lifted her chin and smiled. "My parents taught me that honest work is never shameful. My father was a teacher, my mother a nurse. They worked hard to give my siblings and me opportunities. When my mother got sick, I came to Seoul to earn money for her treatment. That's how I met Ji-ho. You were working as domestic help in this house, correct?" "I was. I cleaned this very room many times." She met his eyes directly. "I'm not ashamed of that. It taught me the value of hard work and humility, two things I think are often lacking in people born to privilege." Several people around the table shifted uncomfortably, but Mr. Takahashi smiled, a small, approving expression. "And how did a maid catch the eye of one of Korea's most eligible bachelors?" Ji-ho's hand found Vivian's under the table, squeezing gently. She squeezed back and told the truth. "I spilled coffee on him." Laughter rippled around the table. Even Chairman Park looked surprised. "She ruined my favorite shirt," Ji-ho added, his tone affectionate. I was furious. But then she looked at me with such genuine horror and immediately tried to fix it. No excuses, no panic, just immediate action to solve the problem. He smiled at Vivian, his expression full of genuine warmth. She was the first person in years who didn't treat me like I was made of glass, who saw me as a person, not a position. I was intrigued. "Intrigued enough to marry her within weeks?" Chairman Park interjected coldly. "Forgive me, but that seems impulsive for a man known for careful planning." "Some things can't be planned," Ji-ho replied, his voice firm. "Some things are worth taking risks for. Vivian is worth every risk." "Beautiful words," Chairman Park said. But the board has concerns about the legitimacy of this union. Concerns that affect our business relationships and investor confidence. Then let me address those concerns directly. Mr. Takahashi's voice cut through the tension. I came here tonight expecting a performance. A carefully constructed facade designed to appease traditional values. Instead, I see something genuine. He looked between Vivian and Ji-ho. The way you look at each other, the way you touch, these are not things that can be faked. My son thought I was old-fashioned for requiring assurance of personal stability before business dealings. But I believe a man who can maintain a strong marriage can maintain a strong company. You have both, Mr. Jang. Relief flooded through Vivian. Beside her, Ji-ho's grip on her hand tightened. Does this mean? Ji-ho started. The Takahashi Corporation will proceed with the merger. You have our full confidence. Mr. Takahashi raised his glass. To Mr. and Mrs. Jang, may your partnership be long and prosperous. Everyone toasted except Chairman Park, who sat rigid with barely contained fury. But it didn't matter. They'd won. After dinner, as guests filtered out, Chairman Park approached them with cold eyes. You may have fooled Takahashi, but I'm not convinced. I'll be watching, Ji-ho. One slip, one hint that this marriage is anything less than genuine, and I'll make sure the board knows. Watch all you want, Ji-ho replied calmly. You'll only see two people in love. When everyone had finally left, Vivian and Ji-ho stood alone in the foyer, the mansion quiet around them. We did it, Vivian breathed. You did it. You were perfect. We were perfect. Together. Ji-ho pulled her into his arms, kissing her deeply, no longer careful about propriety or appearances. When they finally broke apart, his eyes were intense. Come with me. I want to show you something. He led her outside to the gardens, where fairy lights had been strung through the trees, transforming the space into something magical. In the center of the garden was a small table set for two, candles flickering in the gentle breeze. What is this? Vivian asked, stunned. Our real wedding celebration. The courthouse was legal necessity. Tonight was performance for business. But this... He gestured to the intimate setting. This is for us. Just us. Tears filled Vivian's eyes as Ji-ho led her to the table. He pulled out her chair with exaggerated gallantry, making her laugh through her tears. I don't have a ring to give you, he said, sitting across from her. You already have the one from our contract marriage. But I wanted to give you something that means more. He pulled out a small velvet box, different from the one that had contained her enormous diamond. Inside was a delicate gold band engraved with words in both English and Korean. What does it say? Vivian asked, her voice shaking. My little warrior. Ji-ho took the ring and slid it onto her right hand, beside the contract diamond on her left. Your father called you that. I want you to remember that you don't need to be perfect or polished or anything other than exactly who you are. The woman who spilled coffee on me, who stood up to Chairman Park, who saw through all my walls and decided I was worth the trouble anyway. Ji-ho. Vivian couldn't speak past the lump in her throat. I know this started as a business arrangement. I know I bought your time, your presence, your performance. But somewhere along the way, you gave me something I couldn't buy. Yourself. Your real self. And I fell completely, irrevocably in love with that woman. I love you too. So much it scares me. Good. I want to scare you. I want to be everything you need. I want to build a life with you that has nothing to do with contracts or mergers or what anyone else thinks we should be. He stood, moving around the table to pull her up into his arms. Stay with me, Vivian. Not for 6 months. Forever. Forever is a long time. Not long enough. He kissed her softly. Marry me again. Really marry me. Not in a courthouse with strangers, but surrounded by people we love. Your mother, your family, whoever you want there. Let me give you the wedding you actually deserve. We're already married. Legally. But I want to marry you emotionally, spiritually. I want to stand in front of everyone who matters and promise to love you for the rest of my life. Will you let me? Yes, Vivian sobbed, laughing through her tears. Yes, of course yes. Ji-ho lifted her into his arms, carrying her back toward the mansion. I'm taking my wife inside now. The real kind of wife. The forever kind. Presumptuous Mr. Jang. You love it, Mrs. Jang. That night, they celebrated their new beginning in the privacy of their bedroom. Ji-ho was tender and reverent, treating Vivian like she was precious beyond measure. They spent hours simply holding each other, whispering dreams and promises, sealing their commitment with gentle touches and passionate kisses that spoke of a love that had grown beyond anything either had imagined possible. When morning came, they woke wrapped in each other's arms, no longer bound by contract but by choice. So what happens now? Vivian asked, tracing patterns on Ji-ho's chest. With the merger approved, you don't need me for appearances anymore. I need you for everything. Appearances, board meetings, late-night conversations, early morning coffee, every single moment of every single day. He tilted her chin up to look at him. The merger was never really about you being convenient, Vivian. It was an excuse to keep you close while I figured out if what I was feeling was real. Turns out it's the most real thing I've ever felt. What about Chairman Park? He's not going to stop investigating. Let him investigate. He'll find exactly what we told everyone. Two people who fell in love under unusual circumstances. The contract exists, sure. But we're fulfilling it by actually building a marriage. There's nothing fraudulent about falling in love with your own wife. Vivian laughed, the sound free and joyful. I can't believe this is my life now. 4 weeks ago, I was scrubbing floors. Now I'm here with Seoul's most powerful CEO, planning a second wedding. 4 weeks ago, I was alone. Now I have everything I didn't know I needed. Ji-ho kissed her forehead, her nose, her lips. Thank you for spilling that coffee, little warrior. Thank you for being in the right place at the right time. They fell asleep again briefly, then spent the rest of the day planning their future. No more careful distance, no more professional boundaries. Just two people who'd gambled on a contract and won something infinitely more valuable. Real, messy, complicated, beautiful. They'd found something neither had been looking for, but both desperately needed. Love that broke all the rules and made its own instead. And they lived it fully, passionately, completely and authentically, together. Wow, what a journey. From a spilled cup of coffee to true love, Vivian and Ji-ho's story proves that sometimes the best things in life come from the most unexpected beginnings. Did you love this story? Then you need to smash that like button. If you're a romantic at heart, subscribe to our channel for more passionate love stories every week. Drop a comment below and tell us, what was your favorite moment? Should we do more contract marriage stories? What kind of romance story do you want to hear next? Share this video with someone who loves a good romance. Let's spread the love. Sometimes the best love stories start with the worst first impressions. Sometimes the rules we break are the ones that save us. And sometimes, a contract marriage becomes the real thing when two broken people decide to heal together. Thank you so much for being part of Vivian and Ji-ho's journey. We'll see you in the next story. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and comment.